Welcome back to another episode. In today's extra special crossover event, we have Christopher Nesi from the House of EdTech. He's coming on to share insights from an educator's perspective on how these new features from Canva Create are really going to change your life in the classroom. I want to first just apologize to you all. This episode has been released on Christopher Nesi, the House of EdTech. So if you aren't already doing so, make sure that you subscribe for that anytime, anywhere podcast PD. Chris Nesi has become a lifetime friend of mine. And if you didn't know this, I actually happened upon him when I was looking for a community when I was a teacher in the classroom more than 8 years ago. And we've become friends since then. Now, in this event, I know I'm a bit late to sharing this because you've already heard about all the launches at Canva Create, but I'd be remiss not to share this. Life at Canva Create, I was presenting there. So if you haven't done so, those will be in the episode notes as well if you want to check out some of those educator created sessions. But didn't leave me much time for editing. So thank you for your patience. And I hope you will get just as much out of this as if you were watching Canva Create live today. Now, please make sure that you pull up a chair, tell a friend, and if you feel compelled to do so, make sure that you hit subscribe and maybe even log into Canva and follow along with us today. We're so excited to have you here. And as always, let's get ready to do this. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Leena Marie Saleh, the EdTech Guru. I want to thank you so much for spending time with me on this journey, for all the support that you give me, and for following along. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and let's get ready to do this.
All right, welcome to a special House of EdTech Guru crossover piece of content. I want to welcome Leena Marie to my audio piece of this. What's up, Leena Marie?
Hey, how are you?
It's been too long. I'm doing
It's been
great.
way too long. And for my audience, thank you so much for joining us. We're here with Chris Nesi. If you don't know him, he's from the House of EdTech. So thank you for joining us on the video side of things. And we're so excited because we have something extra special for you. Chris, what do we have for them today?
We have Canva.
Yes, I've been waiting for something like that. Can you carry that around everywhere I go?
Sure.
All right. One more time, just because I need it. Yes. Thank you. I've been needing some energy today, so that's the type of energy I need.
Leena Marie, so Canva Create is just about in the books. And there have been so many announcements of things that are going to be put in the hands of teachers and educators worldwide from the magic that is Canva. You know, they are slowly conquering education, the professional world, right? It's the Canva empire. So I want to thank you for sharing and giving us some insight as to what is going on with Canva that's brand new and coming to the hands of teachers and students through the Canva platform.
Yes, and I'm so excited for those of my audience who I never really talked too much about Canva, but I'm excited for you to join us on the heels of Canva Create to be able to share all of these new tools that I think for the first time, not that they haven't been life-changing before, but I think for the first time, these are really tools that are really going to benefit educators in the long run. And as you know, I'm a huge advocate of saving time and creating more value for educators.
I only associate with people who want to save time. So let's roll. Let's do it.
Amazing. All right. So first, we haven't caught up, Chris and I, in probably 1,000 years because I had a baby. And so in that time, Chris has been busy winning all kinds of awards and doing all kinds of things in the meantime. So it's just nice that we get to jam out on all things EdTech, our passion.
Yes. I mean, normally we're just like texting fun stuff, but here we go.
Yep.
Canva EdTech.
Yep.
Let's make it happen.
All right. So I'm not sure how to do this, but we haven't done anything like this before. So I'll just kick it off from the beginning. We'll start with one of the biggest launches that I think is going to really change educators. And Canva is, since you've tuned in already to the keynote today, is launching Canva Sheets. Yes. It's the kind of energy I said I need in my life today.
Leena Marie, this is really exciting because, again, keynotes in the book, what this is going to do, and you're going to talk about it. You're going to be able to show it for people watching the video. And, for you who's listening on the audio side, listen to this conversation and then go watch it. I will have a link in the show notes. It'll be updated once this makes its way to YouTube. But Canva Sheets. So we've got Canva Docs, we've got Canva proper, and now we're adding cells and formulas, and we're adding AI and improving things. So let's talk about Canva Sheets and what it's going to do for educators.
Okay, great. Let's do it. So Canva Sheets is going to be really your all-in-one, with everything, your all-in-one creation tool, but it's going to be, I think, leveled up a little bit more, because I think oftentimes when we go to Sheets, or I'm a big Google Docs user. I think I always will be, in my educator heart, lean on the Google Suite a lot. I think Canva Sheets are really going to set it apart because it is influenced with one of our favorite things, which is magic.
Yes, lots of magic in this. You were kind enough to show me some of the things that are possible here with Canva Sheets, and it's really the infusion of AI and the Canva tools that are taking boring spreadsheets to the next level. Now, you and I both know people who, if spreadsheets were a person, they would, cheat on their spouse or want to date a spreadsheet. Spreadsheets are so powerful.
Yep.
And, you know, let's just talk first about the Canva tools that are being added to spreadsheets. So, what are some of the things that I can now do in a Canva sheet that I can't do in Excel or Google Sheets?
Yeah, I think in a Canva sheet, we'll talk about the magic, but I think one of the biggest things that is going to be quite life changing, I think, for educators, is that it can become your all in one holding for everything. I think, when we're planning other things with sheets, we can do that to the same scale, but in Canva, we can now use background remover at scale. So, what I mean by at scale is you could have 100 photos of your students. you know, Chris teaches, how many students did you say you have? 100
Let's go at 105.
okay, 105. I know at some point in time I had like 200 students in a semester, and so I could add all of their photos into one sheet, and I can quickly just select them, highlight them in the box, and boom, hit background remover, and every single student is no longer in a background.
That's pretty slick.
Yep.
And then from there, you could then pull any one of those images out and do something else with it.
In the sheet itself, you could add a design in the sheet itself, and you can now use bulk create at scale. So you could use bulk create before, within a doc, but a lot of teachers have wanted, that ability to add images, and adding the images before, as nice as it was, could be quite tedious, for someone, and that just really didn't save you time. So now you can add them all and then quickly bulk create certificates, or I don't know, report cards. I don't Whatever it is that you're using, to be able to communicate with parents or stakeholders, all very, very quickly.
Now, the other piece of it that I thought was really slick, and this goes more down the road of AI, is the ability to, for example, you know, I'm not a math major. I don't know the formulas, right? So now what can we as humans do with a Canvas sheet? I don't know the formula for something, but I kind of know what I want to happen with the numbers. What can I do now?
You can now give a prompt to Magic, and to Magic, right, or to the Magic, Canva AI, and you can say, "Hey, I would really love for you to." I'm not sure about what this formula is. Obviously, you're not going to put that in, but I want to create a budget report with a seven. Say you're creating your end of the year celebration. I don't know. So you have all the numbers in one place. You can say, I want to create the budget. I also want to I want to know the total for the tip included, and it can go ahead and do it for you just within a touch of a button.
That's really cool. Now, in the demo, they kind of it got me thinking, that I could have grades in a Canvas sheet, and I could generate with the AI different visual representations, different types of graphs and charts, and just kind of drag and drop it or copy and paste it. And now I've got the data that's, there, and I can go tediously through the numbers, but I can also very easily add in graphs, charts, pie charts, here a chart, there a chart, everywhere a chart.
Yep. And we love data, don't we? You can also, at scale, also add comments. So, like, you're going through and you're trying to, sometimes we just can't think of all the right comments to say. So you could have your students, You could have it do magic insights, or fill the chart for you. And you could say, I want it to be positive, and I want it to be heartfelt, and I want it to suggest the top 3 things that we did this year, blah, blah, blah. And it will just automatically fill the sheet for you. Obviously, with any AI, we always caution, always go back and double check, because that's always an important component. You never want to do anything in its full entirety without checking everything. That's always a big caution to the wind. But I think what's really nice about that is it's just going to eliminate some of the things, off your plate. Something that Chris and I didn't talk about that I'll share now is you can also put in, I guess we did talk about it a bit, is data sets. So how many times are you hunting around trying to fill data sets for your students, for your math, your science class, even history, anything that you're trying to want to do, you can have it magic fill for you very, very quickly a bunch of data for you. That population data, you could also have it pull the capital and it will pull it there for you. You can also do the flags with emojis and it will fill that for you as well. So I think some of those things just take a lot of time for you as educators to create. And I think this will help eliminate some of that for you.
Now, here's an important question. Obviously, these are some of the things that are coming to Canva for teachers. Is this powerful addition something that's also going to be available for students who I have using Canva at any level? I got high school kids, but for the middle school, or if we've got elementary school students, will they also be able to use this Canva Sheets piece?
Yes, they will be able to use the Canva Sheets. It is something we are changing some of our policies, I guess you would say, for AI. So I'll give Chris access to a copy of that as well. As long as the districts have turned on Magic right for students, they should have the capability to do that.
Okay.
And I just think the sheets are going to be really quite revolutionary, because you can still add those design aspects that you couldn't do with a normal Google sheet. I think a Google sheet is great for a lot of purposes. But sometimes we're missing that Canva flair in a
Right.
sheet.
Seldom have we ever looked at a Microsoft Excel or a Google Sheet, or I'm going to go way back to like Lotus 123 and said, wow, that is a beautiful spreadsheet.
Exactly.
And the
So
only thing in the
now you
past that
can.
made a spreadsheet beautiful was, alternating, colored row, white row, colored row, white row. So, or maybe
Which
a
I thought
gradient.
I think we need to talk about the all-in-one visual suite.
Let's do it. So,
All right.
what is the all-in-one visual suite?
Such a good question. Thank you so much for asking that. Inside of my design at once, I can also add a doc if I want. So a Canva doc can be added in here. I could also add a website. So basically everything that you need to do to create, let's say you're making a unit plan for history, I don't know, whatever unit you're planning. You can have all of your teaching materials in here. You could have your grading aspects in here. You could make a video in your teaching materials. So you can have everything that you need all in one. And then you can easily just share that with your students right
Yeah,
there.
this is really slick. So we're looking at for you who's just listening, we're looking at a 5-page document. The first page is a typical slide. The second page is a sheet. The third page is vertical video. The fourth page it's a document. And the fifth page is a website. And this is all contained inside of, what do we call this type of file when you have
Um,
all of these
that's
things?
a great question. That's why it's the all-in-one visual suite, but we call this just the design. And you could do that for any design type. So you could start with a video and then add a presentation or things like that. Most people start with presentations first, which I think is just intuitive to us in nature.
Yeah.
But you can do that. And something new, which I just said, I added a web page, which previously in Canva, you could only do a single one-page design. And now you can do multiple pages.
You know what that means?
My favorite. So a lot of times you're sharing newsletters, or you want to have your different editions. So maybe now you're adding your pages there, or maybe you just want to have a landing page and you're tired of using the old fashioned Google sites, which have served their purpose for a long time, but maybe you want to make it.
I have no problem saying this, but Google Sites hasn't served a purpose since probably like 2017. I don't know. They
No
haven't
shame
adapted.
to Google Sites, but I did go to it the other day and I was like, man, this is so the old version of Google Sites was much easier, I think, to use and had more functionality than new versions of Google Sites, but I think there's lots of capability there. So I think it's just nice that you can have that all in one. And
And one
like,
of the first things that comes to mind as I'm looking at these pages, I mean, you could have students build portfolios using this, right? Bringing in all different types of assignments, whether it's a document that they've done or a video they've done. They can kind of catalog all different types of files in one of these. What are we using again? Canva Magic All in One.
yeah, the all-in-one visual suite. But yeah, so it'll just be really nice to be able to have, all of that in there. Plus you can also, as always with everything, we have templates for you for everything. So you could have, you know, I don't know,
These
report
are okay.
card,
So
checklist.
I'm looking at. She's sharing her screen, and it looks just like you are in any other type of thing you've done on Canva, except the main part of it, you're doing a spreadsheet, and she is infinitely scrolling template after template, and it's different colors and rows, and what do you want to do? What do you want to fill in? This is just, I mean, it's visually pleasing, and if you hate spreadsheets, that's not an excuse anymore.
Yep, I agree. I think also, there's things like weekly schedules in here, which I think are helpful. I think sometimes think about
Look at
how
this. You
how
got the class
tedious.
schedule, you got drop downs, you got
Mhm.
so 12 o'clock is lunchtime on this spreadsheet, and we got pictures of nuggies and meatballs and grilled cheese. You're killing me with this.
Right? I think
Now I'm
what
hungry. Now I'm hungry.
yeah, for sure. But I also think what's really nice is that you could have this, like, think how much easier this would be to take a spreadsheet like this and share it with a sub when you're out one day, or even just to collaboratively. Because I think something that we are not talking about, or I think often is forgotten about with Canva, is that you can have 50 collaborators at a time on a design at any time. So I think what would be really nice, Chris, I don't know, is if you created this, maybe this is in a weekly schedule, maybe this is your unit plan, and you share it with your other social studies teachers across the district, and you're all able to collaboratively plan something. Split up the sections. Why does everyone have to do their own individual planning? I know we do that sometimes, but
Oh,
um
if you're a middle school teacher or you're an elementary school teacher on a grade level team, I mean, what you can do with these sheets to really collaborate and communicate with your colleagues, it's a home run. And again,
mhm,
even what you just said about being able to share something with a sub, or let's say you put together a day's worth of activities and you're going to be out, and we do App Smash, right? If you're a Google district, you can create something here, share a link to your Google Classroom, your kids can see, drop a video of you, and it'll take them through the different parts of the day. It I'm impressed.
yeah, and you can add those photo, like, you don't have to go searching for photos. You can add the photos. You have the same aspects of everything that you've had inside of Canva, but now you can just level it up a little bit more, which I think is
A
nice.
little bit more. This is a lot of bit.
Yeah, I think it'll really be life-changing for a lot of teachers, doing project timelines. I don't know, this is all like more of like the corporate side of things, but I think these are still useful assessment rubrics. Like, think about if you could have that inside of your design really quickly, or Magic has even created it based on your standards, and you have everything here and you're able to just quickly figure out what each of your students need and then quickly calculate it without having to think about 100 formulas or trying to Google what the formula means.
Absolutely. I mean, I do lots of projects in my classroom, and so I always give Canva as an option in some way, shape, or form to my high school students. And I always include a rubric, but that's something that I attach to the directions over in Google Classroom or Google Doc that's got the directions and the expectations. And sometimes I do work that is me giving the kids a template. I can drop this rubric right at the end of it. I can have them self-assess. I can go in and do the rubric grading. So I like it. I like it a
Yep.
lot.
Yeah, there's just lots of benefits, I think, as an educator with using the sheets, and also being able to like quickly add your other designs inside of it. So you could even have your unit, there is the lessons feature in Canva, which is really useful, but it could be that you're using an external LMS. So you want to have everything hosted as, your repository of overall unit planning. You could have everything also linked here for you, or the students could build their own, right? Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we've been talking for 20 minutes about spreadsheets.
Sheets.
What else is coming?
Such a great question. So the next thing that I think is really going to change people's life is we talked about Sheets and the Magic Studio at scale. There is an updated assignment feature, which I think is really useful. Before it was just the classwork tab, but now you can actually see the student progress and that sort of thing. For the interest of time, I'm just going to skip over the assignment hub. So if you're interested in that, we'll make sure that you have a resource to that. But it's pretty useful if you're not using an external LMS like Google Classroom or that sort of thing. You can just natively do that. But I think one of the things that I'm really, really excited about is this Canva Code.
Canva Code.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Should I hit
So,
the button?
yeah. Yes. So in Canva Code, we will now have something called a Wonder Box. So before you used to go to a design, you would say, create a 5-page presentation for my fifth grade students on liquids and solids, and it will create a presentation for you. So that's the magic design. Now we have the Wonder Box. And so that's just leveling it up a bit more with being able to design a doc or that sort of thing. But the most important thing is this Canva Code. And so the Canva Code has a variety of things, but basically anything that you've wanted to create that maybe you've not been able to code before, because most of us are not computer scientists, you can do it here. So there's also some suggested things that you could do, like code a matching vocabulary game or create a simple countdown timer. So there was somebody the other day asking, how can I record my screen in Canva using a timer and showing that? You can't, because the timer is a presentation feature, something that when you're in present mode, you do the timer, or when you're in edit mode. But when you're recording, it gets kind of tricky. So now you can create your own timer or a flashcard game or a vocabulary game. So you can have it here. This one says, this prompt tells us create an interactive vocabulary matching game where students connect terms with definitions. Start with an example math vocabulary, set 6 geometry terms with colorful design, hint, system, and celebratory animations for correct matches. And then as a follow up, ask me about subject area, subject terms, definitions to include with a theme, and hint feedback style. So you can do that and you just push the button, or you can also now chat to it using your voice, which is also extremely helpful for a lot of students when they're trying to find something or look for something. And then we just hit submit and it just starts coding for us.
This is really, really slick. So we're watching on her screen now. It's coding the HTML, which is then going to be viewable and shareable. Not the code itself, but the activity that she just described. And while you're watching it code, there's also a chat box to the left, and you could further prompt it and it will rewrite the code. And from what you shared with me earlier and what we saw today, it's then basically a web page that you can then share, you can kind of put out there, you can make it a part of those mega files, right? So
Yep.
again, I am
Yeah.
speechless.
Yeah. I think the Canva code, and that's why I think is really important to talk about, is just it's going to be really useful for you when you're trying to figure out what the heck do I want to be teaching or what can I be showing to my students that sometimes we just don't have. So why not create it? And this took what, just a couple minutes to create this and code it?
If that, so we see it's a geometry vocabulary match game, and you got 6 pairs, you've got terms, you've got definitions, you can reset the game. If you need a hint, it's going to help you. So here's an activity. You could use this as an exit ticket. You can use it as a do now. You can use it as a check for understanding in the middle of this geometry math lesson. It's amazing, and it
Yeah.
looks good too, right? This is something that if you said, "Hey, go into, say, pick your AI tool," I'll say ChatGPT, right? I could go into ChatGPT and I could probably say something very similar, generate HTML for a geometry math game. But when I go to see what that code looks like when I run it, I've then got to go find some place to put that code. I've got to maybe then continue to prompt it and make it look good. this looks good right out of the box. And there's a button in the upper right-hand corner of the screen here in Canva now, use in a design. And it looks good, and now you can use it right away. So you're cutting out middlemen left and right. Kudos
Exactly.
to the team.
Yeah, it's really exciting and something I think we're really excited about the possibilities for educators because I think oftentimes, I don't know, I just think about when I'm in the classroom just like you, like generate the HTML, then I got to figure out where is it going to go? How am I going to run it? How am I going to consistently keep this code up? What happens if it breaks? I have to go back and read it. Well, now I don't have to do that. I can just come over here and can just be like, "Hey, can you tweak this to be whatever?" Or I want to make it harder. I want to make it more intentional. Let me give you the words. You can be really specific with what it is that you're creating. I had a colleague I was telling Chris who created, she was an art teacher and she created an interactive Van Gogh experience. It literally felt like I was going to an interactive art exhibit where I could click on different parts within the photo or within the, within the picture that was created. And I could really understand what the theme was, what the tone was, what you were wanting. So you can make this really immersive if you wanted to as well without spending a ton of time doing it.
And I'm a teacher. I don't have a lot of time. They're not making any more of it. It's always going by me.
Exactly. So I think that'll be, I don't know. I hope I'm just excited about it. I hope that everyone is just as excited about it as we are.
And like with any AI, and I've talked about it on the show before, if you don't know how to use it, ask it for help
Mm-hmm.
or email Leena Marie. So we'll have an email. she will field your calls. No, I
Yeah, if
only
you
have her on speed dial. None of you can call her.
I mean, if you are really, really, really stuck with needing that, there's definitely some things, but our team will have some resources, available for you as well. But I think there's also prompt generators you can find. You could also come to, not that I'm like suggesting this, but you could also just, you know, go to Chat GPT to practice some of your prompts too. Like, what does this prompt tell you? What is it? Have it break down that thinking for you as well. Um, you know, or
Or
just
there's even,
ask
again,
it.
we saw earlier on one of the earlier things you showed here, there's a microphone button.
Yep.
Talk to it.
Yep.
If you can't figure out how to type it out, talk to it.
Exactly. And it will just learn with you. You're learning with it, it learns with you, and the more that you can feed it information, the better it becomes at knowing you.
Yes. And
Yeah,
again, what you're showing me and what we're talking about and where we are right now here in April of 2025, this is the worst it's going to be. It's only going to get better.
exactly. And we know that, right, with AI. I think everyone panicked when AI first came out and they're like, "Oh, well, whatever." And it's like now you can't think of your life without it.
Well, even again, because you're kind enough to put this conversation together with us, you know, think of what Canva was 5 years ago,
Mhm.
right? Canva 5 years ago compared to what it's going to be now going forward. I'm glad we're here now. Canva 2020 sucked. No, relatively speaking. So I mean, here we are.
Yeah.
So we got Sheets, we've got a lot of AI integration, we've got this coding and
Mhm.
and programming. Now, would this also fall? Again, it might depend. Is this coding thing something that students could also have access to, or is that dependent on some of the other things that might be turned on?
Mm. Just say TBD.
Sure.
Um, I will make sure that Chris has information on which features are available and not available. Just forgive me. Um, I'm not
And
top
I
of
always
mind
I
thinking of
always ask
them.
those questions because I do work with older students, right?
Hmm.
I use Canva at the high school level.
Yep.
I adjunct at the university level, so I'm always recommending Canva to college kids too. So whatever can make anybody's life easier and help them create and communicate, and even I'm sure the collaboration is improved within the platform. You know, we got to put that in the hands of our learners at any age.
Exactly. And I am completely behind that, but I'll make sure that we have really specific which features and not features are available to you because I think that's really important as an educator to understand that side for students too because we want them to be empowered as well.
All right, so we talked about Sheets,
Yep.
we talked about the programming and the coding and more of the magic and fusion. What else are we going to share?
Great. I'm really happy that you asked me that question. I think something that I, as a podcaster, and Chris himself, as using the Canva platform is you can now record a voiceover. So in the past, you would be hacky, and I can say that, where you would remove yourself from the video. You would record it and just do audio, but it would still produce a video file. And then you could extract audio if you wanted. But now you can actually record a true voiceover.
Very cool. Now,
Yeah.
we can't demo that because of how we're conducting this conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
you just kind of got to take our word for it. So you'll be able to put your voice in. We also saw today that there's going to be improved native text to speech,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know about you, but if you've ever asked a child to record their voice into something in 2025, they look at you like you have three heads and how dare you ask them to speak out loud. Just recently, I had students using Canva for a project, and we use some, I guess there's some third-party apps that are integrated into Canva, where I said, all right, write your script and let's use one of those. You can use AI to generate your voice. If you don't feel comfortable or confident to speak yourself, I want your words in there, even if it's not your actual voice. And now this is built in. So that's also very
But yeah, it will be really nice to be able to have that voiceover feature available. And we said the AI version. So you can also take your words and you can copy those words, and then there is an app, or you will be able to hover over when you're in a different file, not in this design file here, but you will be able to just go to the apps, and then you will see the AI voice. And in the AI voice, you can type it in, and then there's a different variety of like characters that you can have discussions with. But there is Carol and Lisa and Ralph and Richard. But you can also, what's really great about this is sometimes we have our students that are not able to, and this is available for students as well. This is also going to be available for students, but in different languages. So if I spoke Spanish, and I know you have a Spanish podcast at your school, right, that your
yes.
students do. So they could also take this and have it become Spanish speaking for them without ever using their voice.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't tell me that before. That's cool.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. So let me ask, and again,
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I might be misunderstanding you. If I have words that I bring into this in
Mm-hmm.
English,
Yep.
will it translate them into Carol, Lisa, or Ralph or Richard speaking Spanish?
Yep. So I can go ahead and I can type in Spanish. And now
Oh, and
there
you
are
get two
different
different characters, Alejandra and
speakers.
Sophia.
Okay. So
That's really cool.
it is not translating this into Spanish. And then thanks for having me test this out. It's not translating this into Spanish, but what you can do is you can just use Magic Write, and then see, you can do generate voice here, but you could just translate this itself. So you could translate the text first and then have
Okay.
it use these voices. But these are they're speaking in English, but with a Spanish.
Accent.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
But if you gave it Spanish words, then they
Mm-hmm.
would sound more Spanish.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
in it. I'm
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So you just need to highlight your text and then click the little magic pencil or go into the apps, and then you can generate your AI voice.
That's really, really cool.
Yep.
Man, love me some
Mhm.
Canva. So glad
Right?
it's free for teachers because I, I know, again, Canva is, they are expanding, and I see commercials on TV for Canva, and you know I I've never actually looked to see how much Canva costs for the average person, or if it, like a mom and pop business wanted to have Canva and get access to the tools. I have no idea how much that costs. So thank you for making it free for teachers.
Yeah, it's part of our two-step plan. I think we talked about this before, but Mel and Cliff were actually teachers, and it's just part of their education thing. So step one of our plan is to basically build the biggest company we can. And then step two is to do the most good we can. And part of the do the most good we can is part of the Canva for Education. Canva for Education fits into that. And so that our step one fuels the ability for us to do step two.
Love it.
Yeah, I love these sound effects. I really need to get one of these, Chris. And yeah, so recording a voiceover and then quiz generator, which I think this is something that has been available for a bit. But basically, what happens is if you are on a, I don't know, you're on a social studies template, let's say. So we're, I don't know, just in Canva itself, and you're on a social studies template, or you've created your own text inside of it. You can just hover over the text itself, and when you do that, and there's also new filtering if you haven't noticed the new education filtering here.
Yes,
But
very slick.
yeah. And I probably shouldn't show that part there. The education. And so let's just say we're in a math one and we are, I don't know, just find one of these here. And we're inside of our lesson here. We can just select over the text, which I didn't have this open before, but you can select the text and you can have it generate a quiz for you based on the text. I prefer to, feel like history is like the easiest one to do. But anyway, if you're inside of one of these and you have all of your text on the page, you can have it generate a quiz for you.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. All right. So I think the last thing that we're going to wind up talking about is, and I forget the name that they used today, but it, like, was it scrollables? Is that the term?
That's such a good one. It is scrollies, scrollables.
Scrollies. Okay.
Yep. So when you are
It sounds like something out of the Avengers. We got to
it
fight the
does,
Scrollies.
doesn't it? It does. So when you're in a doc, sometimes docs can just be quite boring, right? You have the ability.
You don't say.
Yeah, right. So now when you're inside of a doc design, you can click on the plus sign and you can go to scrollable design. And so you can add a previous presentation that you've created, or you can just add a scrollable. And so I can just come here and I could say education in the keywords, see what kind of comes up. And I don't know. It's just, you can also have different presentations. So you could take like an animated presentation, and that was not a good one because it didn't have enough pages. But once you add it into it, what it basically turns your design to is to an animation. So if you had a digestive system, or maybe even you were going through time, you can have the students scroll and it will produce an animation inside of the design itself, which is quite cool.
Well, the digestive one is a great example because if you're looking at the design publicly, say through a public link, which again, those are my favorite links on Canva.
Mm-hmm.
When you are literally scrolling in your browser window.
So in the interest of me, I forgot to stop the recording instead of stop sharing my screen. So that's a fun thing. So anyway, Scrollables is an interactive place where you just add a presentation or you add a diagram into it. And as students are scrolling, the parts are moving. So it could also be a how-to, it could be anything. But as we're moving through this track, we're seeing the digestive system and we're seeing all the things that it go. Chris was saying that he would do an interactive timeline. There's lots of abilities to just create this as more an interactive ability for you. And I just think it's a really cool aspect to keep students engaged while you're learning.
And based on some stuff I've done this year, I can see my students using this to do what would probably look like stop motion animation.
Yeah.
So, and again, I've seen my kids do that just with a regular presentation, and then you're just advancing the slides, and things are moving around. They're using the built-in effects, but this is just another way to try and present it, make it accessible. So, I like it.
So we talked about most of the things, and then we already talked about Magic Insights, which is being able to take a component of your data and then ask it to summarize it or create the biggest talking points. And you can do a text or you can do a chart, and you can just add that, copy and paste the text or copy and paste the chart easily to your design, which is something that you can't typically. It's just much harder to create a chart in Google Sheets than this, where it's also those interactive charts, which are, which Canva's known for, obviously. But I think that just is helpful to be able to do that in your sheet.
Now, the other piece, and I don't know if you want to show it, but I definitely want to talk about the fact that in a presentation, uh, this idea of I've designed my slides and I need speaker notes.
Yeah,
That
I
was
think that's going to be a
also
win. Yep.
very slick.
Yep. So let's just say we have this slide that we're sharing with our teachers. We can come over here and we can rewrite these. There's already notes here. So I'm going to rewrite these notes. So I'm just going to click on rewrite. And what will happen is Magic Write is then creating the speaker notes for you here. You can also take something
Wait,
more formal.
I want to pretend to present.
Yeah, exactly. So it's creating this year. So empowered by artificial intelligence, Magic Insight reveals patterns, trends, and essential takeaways, converting data into clear and compelling visuals and summaries. So
That's
you
right, Leena
can
Marie, because this tool is particularly beneficial for educators seeking to effortlessly identify students requiring additional support through a straightforward prompt.
exactly. So you have your notes here. It's much more useful when you're on a different kind of design, being able to like do your speaker notes, but it's been quite helpful for us as we've been preparing for Canva Create and making sure we have our presentations. It's been nice to kind of have starter notes. Sometimes your brain is just dead, but how cool is that?
This is very cool.
Yeah.
You haven't shown me a not cool thing yet, so
I think all of these things will be really helpful for educators. I'm hoping, and you're an educator, so you can tell me. But I think being able to just have things that just make your life a little bit easier is going to be really helpful. Some things also that we didn't talk about that I think are going to be important are things that teachers have been asking for. We call it our community wish list, and that's things like subscript and superscript. Teachers love that and have been wanting, especially for math. It's
it's
really
all those
difficult.
science and math
Yeah.
features.
Exactly. Some of these features, which we will be launching right now to you, which is the assignments, the quiz generator, recording of voiceover, AI voice, the superscripts, your text highlighting, which you can now do in Docs, which is something who has been wanting to do that with Elements? Nobody. So now you have that feature. You can also do banners on all pages. You can volume balance, which I think is great, but I think the caption animations is also useful for educators and students. So all of those things will be live. The big things like Canva Sheets, the Canva AI, the Canva Code, the all-in-one visual suite where you can do multiple pages, Magic Studio at scale, the scrolly telling, which I just showed you, or scrollables. Those will all be available on May 20th. So some of the features will be available in April 10th, but all of the features that have been mentioned at Canva Create will be live by May 20th.
You know what? That's good because something that has frustrated me for years, and I think I've even expressed it to you, and I know I've talked about it on the show, but I'm going to remind the listener that Canva gets it, right? You're doing this event April 10th, right? It's here, it's now, and the features, some are here today and will start to impact your teaching, and some are going to be coming in just a few weeks. If this was, and I don't like to throw shade at Google, but I'm going to throw shade at Google because I'm affiliated with nobody. If this was a Google event, they would do the event now and they would say, they're coming. And then they would drop these features in like November.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to Canva for doing it now because I could play with it at the end of the year. I can play with some of these tools over the summer. I can start to plan and I can hit the ground running. Again, as a New Jersey educator, I'll be able to hit the ground running in September. For the other places in this country that get out of school in May and they might be out of school before the features drop, they'll get to play with those features before they go back to school in August. So thank you, Canva. Thank you.
Yeah. And I'll just say this. We have some really great things coming for back to school. I can't mention them, but we do have some really great things that are going to change some of the ways that you interact with students then, but I can't mention I'm just peppering that in that there are
Okay.
going to be some launches. Ooh,
All
I
you
don't know.
had to do was say, "Hey, Chris, I'd love to come back on the show in August or the end of July," and I would have said
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah. So, I can't say anything, but I do think we'll have some really great things for back to school that I think will really help all of our educators.
excellent. All right, so Leena Marie will be back this August with more information about Canva and back to school. Was there anything else that you wanted to share or anything else we wanted to bring up?
No, I don't think so. And like I said, I will share the information with Chris on what will be available and what won't be available for students. I think that's an important component. And we would love to hear your feedback. We at Canva, me specifically, love to hear what you're doing and how you're sharing. So make sure that you tag Canva EDU on all the things that you're doing and creating, because we listen. We have the community wish list, superscript, subscript, those types of things are things that we're listening to and making sure that we have things that make you feel empowered in the work that you do every day.
Excellent. All right. So this has been a bonus episode of the House of EdTech and an awesome video and screen share for your YouTube channel, the EdTech Guru. If you're listening to this on the podcast piece of it, you can go into the show notes and there will be Leena Marie's contact information. Make sure you're connected with her. She's an awesome person as a person, professionally. She's available to people to be awesome. And I'll plug myself for your video. Please,
Great.
if you're not listening to the House of EdTech podcast, come over to my website, chrisnesi.com, where you can subscribe to the House of EdTech. And it's anytime, anywhere professional development, much similar to what Leena Marie does, except I have a face for radio and she looks good on YouTube.
Okay. Well, Chris took the words out of my mouth. So really great to connect with all of you. And we're really excited to share these new features with all of you. And we will see you next time, everybody. Bye.
See ya.
Thank you so much. You've made it this far. We are so thankful that you're here. Make sure to hit the subscribe button, thumbs up, comment below, and join us for all of our next videos. Thank you so much for joining us as we disrupt education together. See you guys soon. Bye, everybody.